Warning, the following may contain necrosts. Join fantasy authors Phil Tucker, Timandra Whitecastle, David Benem, Benedict Patrick, and Josiah Bancroft as they roll dice and take on the bad guys in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. 5 authors, 5 worlds, 1 adventure. It's time to get crit-faced. Previously on Crit-Faced. Having broken out of the Burgomaster's home and lying to get through the Vallaki town gates, the party is finally out into the mist-shrouded night of Barovia. Following up on a sighting of Ireena at the nearby Vistani camp, the team gets ready to make their way there, well aware of how much the Vistani hate them.
I do want to remind everyone we could have been fitted for clothes in the morning as opposed to this. This is
potato sacks and tea cozies. I think were the words.
I could have had a bowl cut and looked like an English dandy.
It would have been an improvement. Well, and yes, I know I said the sackcloth and the tea cozies, but this fog is very unnerving. I don't like it.
I throw a firebolt at the fog. Just for old time's sake.
Okay.
What happens?
Well, it careens through the fog as you would expect a firebolt to do. So it, the orange glow of the firebolt sort of blooms through the water that's suspended in the air. So it's quite pretty, but then a bit depressing as the light is eventually swallowed up by the thick oppressiveness of this unnatural.
See, that just
warned them. I think we've warned them now. There's a warning.
No,
they'll respect our firepower. If you know what I mean.
We are men spitting in the wind. That is not impressive. I do not feel.
Spit, I fear, is water, and what I just threw, one might say, is the diametric opposite.
Yes,
so, this is the road to the west of Vallaki you are on.
And that's where the Vistani camp is, right? To the west? That's where the Vistani camp
You're told that Vistani...
Southwest of the city.
Bingo.
Southwest, okay. So we'll march ahead to the west for a little bit until we're out of sight of the guards.
Mm-hmm.
And then diverge to the south.
What could go wrong?
Nothing. We're so experienced by now.
But we did steal horses, right? We all remember to steal horses. That was one of those things.
We don't steal horses.
Requisition. Borrow them, yes.
All that hero talk got to our heads and decided it's decidedly unheroic to steal poor people's horses.
Well, boo. I think we should have, requisitioned horses.
We did bring you a sheep to ride, though.
McRag is just going to eat it, and then what?
He would eat us at least for another 12 hours. All right, we head towards the Vistani camp.
Right, so we're heading west on the road. Eventually, the lights of the town disappear, and you said then you were going to head south into, right? So, guys, could you please take a survival check for me?
That's never a good sign. Never a good sign.
13.
9.
I'm surviving better than you are.
12.
Same.
I have literally lost my dice. What it's under the chair. It's under the chair. 1 second, I'm going to get it.
I think that means you fall down a badger hole.
All right, hold on. Survival is 12 plus.
Plus nothing.
No. There has to be some sort of there's nothing. Is it just 12? Is it?
No, there's a skill.
Do you have a survival skill?
There's no. Well, I obviously don't. So 12.
So we got 12 and Master
12.
Sonic got 12 and 13 for Lord Talfryn.
Yes, I'm leading the way, I suppose.
So the three of you are, as you move through the wood, sort of, you're unguided in a way, and the fog is certainly thicker here. But you become aware that there are trails here that are sort of crisscrossing the undergrowth that you're moving along, and you realize a lot of these trails are converging and they're moving off in a southwesterly direction. So you eventually follow these. You realize it's horses and people on feet have been traveling through this, and eventually now it's obviously still nighttime. We're still maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It would be at this point. The woods before you, maybe after about an hour's travel through them, they sort of part.
No zombies.
And there's quite an expansive clearing to the south of you now. It's very difficult for you to make out the details, but a lot of the area around here is lit, even though there's the fog. So you can see, it looks like there's a hill, a small hill in front of you, and there seem to be homes built into the sides of the hill, like all around it, basically.
It's the Shire.
And each of these homes have lanterns hanging from their eaves. There is, at the top of the hill, that's where the most light is coming from, and that's where you see the familiar sight of Vistani caravans set up in a ring, and there's smoke pouring out through the centre of that caravan. Because see the collection of caravans, because there is a large tent there, and smoke is pouring out through it, and the tent is lit from inside by a fire of some kind, basically. You can also smell here, just a mix of smells of people. Wine, you can smell wine, and just the smell of horses as well.
The smell of wine and horses is actually just McCrag, but yes, we do you understand. So I think I might adopt my persona of Madame Rousseau. She seems to be well received here. So, Rag, if you could return my eviscerated rabbit's ribbon that you've been swinging around, I will.
It's all yours.
It is actually a scarf. You've been weird about it, but yes, and yes, I feel we shall proceed as Madame Rousseau.
A question.
I think we shouldn't. We should proceed, but be very, very careful, because we have at least 2 members who are definitely disliked by the Vistani.
How about
maybe I should wear the Madame Rousseau costume?
How about I cast invisibility on McCrag?
Perfect.
That would help with McCrag, but Lord Talfryn, I don't know if we might.
And then I can cast disguise self upon myself.
Okay.
Turn myself into a handsome Vistani lord. What do you think?
So just so that people can get an idea of how good, because they'll know you and they'll know how well you'll be able to act at this. What's your deception? What is your deception like?
Mine's +4.
So you guys know that Lord Talfryn, it's not beyond him to act the part of someone that he's not.
And all McCrag has to do is not insult anyone directly to their face.
Oh.
While I'm invisible.
Right.
Can I do my folk songs?
No,
veto. So, do you see a problem with this, Master Suna? Do you think we should not go in there at all? Like, we should scout it out first?
I think we should be very sneaky, because what we're trying to do is, if the Vistani have Ireena, is try to get Ireena out. And if we can do so without drawing too much attention to ourselves, that would be awesome.
What if Master Suna were invisible
and scouted
and scouted the camp?
Master Suna, if forced to sort of quantify your ability to move around quietly, what sort of a plus would you put it at?
I have a pretty good plus also on that, by the way.
+3.
McCrag?
+4. Oh, wait.
Wow.
No, wait. Stealth should be dexterity, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm +6.
What?
I have an 18 dex, and plus I got my barbarian bonus.
Have you been like our hidden stealth option all this time?
I think McCrag's always been.
I've been so stealthy that you didn't know I was stealthy.
Wow.
Well, Sean, what do you think? We cast invisibility upon McCrag and send him forth to locate Ireena.
I think it's a wonderful plan. Wonderful. Yes, let's do it.
I cast invisibility on McCrag, and I say, "May the morning dawn, Lord, bless your endeavors."
I
Whatever
run back to Valaki to get sleep and more food.
He's a cunning guy. 10 hours later, we're like, something's gone awry.
All right, no, I'll try to explore the camp. Sure.
Okay, McCrag. So where are you wanting to head to first? You've got this hill ahead of you, ringed with these buildings. Now, when I say ringed, I mean you can see obviously about half the hill at the moment, so you can make out 4 buildings and almost like equal spaces apart, ringing around it. But they're of almost identical construction. Or of course, there's the Vistani camp, which seems to be atop.
I'm going to try the camp.
Okay. Would you like to take a stealth check? But because you're invisible, you can take it with advantage.
24.
Okay.
That'll do.
That's pretty good.
Or 24.
Okay.
Wow.
So you...
Which one are you going to pick?
You make your way quietly up the side of the hill, and almost in a way it almost feels like being back home, stalking through like the wild hillsides, but instead of looking for food for yourself to survive, this is, you're obviously on a mission here. You do notice as you move past, because you choose a gap that's sort of equal distance away from the 2 houses that you've got to pass between on your right and your left, you do notice that each of the houses has a grey cloaked figure standing just outside the door of each of them, which is slightly unnerving, but otherwise they don't seem to notice you, and you make your way up to the ring of caravans. So what you have up here, I mean, it is basically like a protective ring. They've obviously the Vistani, they're travelling folk, and they have formed their caravans just in a circle around this central tent. You can see there are a number of lookouts moving around or sitting on some of the wagons. But I mean, it's not a comprehensive guard. So with your invisibility and with your natural stealth, you don't think there's going to be too much of a difficulty in getting through a gap. Are you gonna?
Can I take a moment to observe how regularly the ones who are moving move about? Are they moving in a pattern? Are they coming around every so often? A certain timing to it, that sort of thing.
Do you want to take a perception check?
Sure. I am on a roll here. 18.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be. There's no discernible pattern that you can, because from what you can gather, actually, it's mostly the people looking after the wagons that are important to them. So, for example, there's one woman, and she is just sitting on her own wagon, or she's just sitting on the one wagon. She's only watching out for it. To the north of the camp, there's 3 wagons that an older man is just walking, back and forth. Maybe every 15 minutes or so, he's walking, doing a wee perimeter check off them, and then he's just heading back in. But nobody seems to be taking responsibility for the entire perimeter in a oneer, as it were.
Does the tent appear to have any obvious points through which I could observe what's going on inside?
No, not from where you are, no. You need to get past that perimeter first.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
You do notice that a lot of the horses, I mean, all of the horses are kept within the perimeter as well, to the south of the sort of the ring, if that makes sense. So it's sort of densely packed with horses to the south of the tent, whereas the north of the tent, that seems to be where the main entrance is. From what you can tell, just from glancing through the gaps in the wagons, there's a lot of empty casks of wine, for example. There's just a lot of noise. I mean, there's noisy kids coming from some of the wagons, for example.
I'll steer clear of the horses and try to move closer to the tent from the other side.
Okay. From the north side?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I I know you've done your stealth roll, so I'll say your stealth roll lasts you just till you get, you find a wee gap in the wagons where you realise aren't really being patrolled as much, and you struggle under one of them, and you come up the other side. You can see a little bit through this entranceway now. There's a bit more. It's a lot busier inside the wagon ring. Most of the activity is coming from inside the tent, but where you are now, it's certainly one of the most busy parts on the exterior, because people are coming out to get the wine. That is, the casks are piled just outside the entrance. And also this is the main thoroughfare that people would use to get from the tent to their own caravans. You can hear raised voices coming from inside, and in particular, one female Vistani voice strikes you as being very familiar.
Does it sound like the fortune teller?
No, it does not. It sounds like the woman that you assaulted back in her home.
Oh, great! Can I? And I assume as people move in and out of the tent, I can get glimpses between the flaps of how many people are in the tent, who's in the tent, and so forth.
Do you want to take a perception check for me, please?
8.
Okay. So you can see, from what you can gather from where you are right now, there's at least 6 people inside the tent that seem to be either asleep or resting on the ground with, it seems to be basically the equivalent of a party tent, basically. There are 3 people, possibly 4, that you keep moving around. You do catch a glimpse of the woman you assaulted. You can see that she's got sort of bandages underneath a shawl that she's wearing. You also notice, you also recognize at least one of her other sisters is there as well. And she's speaking to at least one 30-year-old Vistani man that you've not seen before.
All right, I'm gonna try to creep alongside one of the. I guess I'm assuming the tent has 4 sides.
Well, it's circular, actually.
It's circular. Okay. Well, I'll try to go not near the horses, but toward a part of the tent that where it's not quite as busy, and try to listen through.
Okay. Do you
the cloth.
Take another stealth check for me, please. Again with advantage.
19 or 14.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with the 19. So to be honest, you have to go kind of close to the horses on the eastern side to be able to avoid where the people are walking through. You do feel that at one point you're very close to disturbing them. The horses do start a bit, and they realise that something's happening that shouldn't be happening, but you just your natural ability in that area, you just freeze, basically, just like you've seen deer do back in the hunting grounds at home, and eventually they go back to eating at the hay that's been laid out for them. So you make your way over to the side of the tent, and you listen in. So you're able to hear this woman, and you're pretty confident this is the Vistani woman from back in Barovia. And she said, "I can't believe you had her in your hands, and then what? She just left. You just let her get away." And the guy that she's speaking to he's saying, "Cariza, you don't understand. We've never had anything like this happen before. Yes, we had her. She was here. There was no problem at all. But then we were attacked as well. And these things happen in Barovia. Strahd will never hear of it. We do not need to worry about that. I am not worried about Strahd." This is obviously the woman that he called Cariza. "I am not worried about Strahd. I am worried about my own revenge. Look at what they did to me. Look at what that fool did to me. I must have revenge on them. And then I hear they are being celebrated inside Vallaki. This cannot be stood for. I must have my vengeance on the one they call Kellin and the rest of these heroes of the Silver Dragon."
She really likes you.
That's right.
And the man says,
No,
"Yes,
yes." I don't really. I didn't say that out loud.
The man she is speaking to, he says, "Yes, I understand, of course, and as your brother Vistani. I will die. I will, of course will protect you, but we do not need to have this Ireena in order to get revenge. We have lost her. Somebody has taken her away. We do not know who the masked sword fighter was. Of course, we have people tracking them, but we will find other ways to attack these Silver Dragon heroes on your behalf. And then she says, I would like to cut his throat myself. Okay. Are you
Slowly creeping away?
happy enough?
I think my work is done here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna creep out of the camp.
Okay. Would you like to take a final stealth check?
I wouldn't like to.
You must.
With advantage still?
Yes, still with advantage. You are still in advantage.
11 or 13.
So, again, creep past the horses, and the same situation happens. And the the horses start to sniff in the air and trot, and you can see that they're getting disturbed. What's your plan?
Stop.
Okay, so you stop, and this time one of the horses sort of moves over in your general direction to, and you can see that it's sort of moving over questioningly, trying to figure out what's going on here close by. And it gets close to you. We're inches away, and it bumps into you with the side of its head, and it freaks out. So the horse, rears up, begins to neigh, and of course that just causes a chain reaction. I mean, we've got about 24 of the beasts in here, like with all the caravans that are collected up here, and they all just it just spreads like a disease through them, and they all start. And of course, what happens then is that the lanterns come on, and people start to run out of the caravans. You just turn around, and you see this woman Cariza like whirling out of the tent with a dagger in her hand and a lantern in the other, the man that she was talking to like pushes past, and he goes, "What is happening? Calm down the horses, calm down the horses." And she says, "What? They are here! They are here!" And he shouts out, "Cariza, do not be a fool, do not be a fool. The horses, they are scared of something. This is, this place, this is Barovia. There's evil here." And she said, No, you do not know this. They have already used trickery to evade me once before. We managed to capture Ireena, but I know it. I feel it in my blood. They are here. Spread out. Capture them. Kellin, what are you doing?
Run as fast as I effing can.
Right, would you, so sort of we're barreling sort of through the wagons. Now the what happens is like sort of basically shouts go up from the wagons, and you see that the lights in the houses below sort of double basically. There's activity in the homes that are, and guys, you can see this as well. Like down below, you're aware of commotion up in the campsite. So what's your plan?
Hide?
I am going to cast...
Fireball.
Fireball. I'm going to cast, I guess, invisibility upon myself and rush up to see if I can help.
Okay. Can you... is invisibility a concentration spell?
Let me tell you.
Because I was wondering if that's maybe one that you can just do one off at a time.
See, second level, invisibility, duration, concentration, or up to 1 hour. A creature you touch becomes invisible till the spell ends. Anything the target is wearing becomes invisible. The spell ends for a target that attacks or casts a spell.
Okay, so I believe, let me just double check really quickly, but I believe concentration means that if you cast it upon yourself, you can only have one concentration going at a time. Let me just check that. I could be wrong.
I'll just go with disguise self then.
But is that also concentration?
That is not. That's duration 1 hour.
Okay.
So I make myself look like a rather paunchy, like slope-shouldered Vistani, like rustabout.
Okay.
The rake
Okay.
cap hanging low over his face.
So you are aware of commotion as you. So what are you doing in your disguise?
I'm running up to.
Right, you're running up. As you run up, you are aware of commotion from the homes that are around as well, and you see these cloaked figures that Kellin had spotted earlier, and they are running. They've got a lantern in one hand and like a long saber in the other, and the closest one spots you and runs down to you. Not particularly aggressively, but you can see that whoever it is alarmed, and the figure comes up to you and throws off its hood, and you see underneath that this is someone very dark skinned, and reminds you more than anything of your friend. Rictavio back in Vallaki, because this person's ears are pointed just like Rictavio's were, but in some way this man's features are even fairer than Rictavio's were, and you realise at the time that this guy is looking at you. He's very tall, and although very youthful features, his eyes seem almost ancient as he looks at you, and he speaks and he says, what is happening? What is happening above in the camp?
I don't know, but I just saw strangers. They were, I point in a direction away from my friends. 3 or 4 strangers. They were out there, and they didn't come to me when I tried to call them in.
Right. Do you want to take a deception check?
Could I take a persuade roll instead?
Nope.
19.
Okay. And he says, yes, I will move at once. And runs off. You don't hear a sound as he light-footed takes off in that direction. At the same time, you notice like the grass sort of pounding, and you realise that what's happening here is Kellin running down the hillside. Also, torches up above at the wagons are starting to spill out beyond the wagons as the Vistani above are starting to move down the hillside, and you can also hear this woman screaming at the top of her voice in particular, amongst all the other shouting, "Find them! Find them!" Okay.
Time to go. I chase after Kellin.
Okay. Right, we're all back together. Everyone down at the end of the end of the enclosure, guys. The Vistani are coming. What's the plan?
Should I just throw some firebolts at them to get them to drop for cover, and then we run?
Random firebolts sound like an excellent idea.
No, they don't. But these guys have horses, so no matter how fast we run, it's still dark, right?
It is. Yep. But
And foggy.
And foggy, and we like it's like a wooden.
I honestly like we have offended them, have we not?
Yes.
We are not going to escape them in this world. We must request some sort of quorum. We must request that they allow us to defend ourselves within some sort of like formal trial. All of this will continue forever. We will run. We will hide in trees. We will
punch this lady after being caught sorting through her underwear. There is no forgiveness here. We are verboten.
There is penance. And there may be retribution. But I'm saying
violent penance. Bloody penance.
We are not going to win this by hiding in the trees. I say that we let one of
I volunteer Jean Marlevet to parlay with the Vistani.
More eloquent persons to parlay with them to see if we cannot come to some agreement. Make our apologies, do our genuflections, and perhaps escape this constant fleeing. And worst case scenario, we lose McGregor. And I have to say, I will miss him. I think we all will. We will all miss him. He's a lovely, lovely fellow. He's the kind of person you smell before you see him. You know he's coming.
I take this opportunity to behead Jean Marlemite.
No, you do not, sir. Sir, we are friends.
Before we get to that, if I cast Silent Image, Benedict, can we all hide inside an image of a rock?
Yeah, as long as it's not, as long as nothing touches it. That's right. The torches, by the way, have reached the level of where the houses are on the hill, and they're obviously coming, spreading out in all directions. Certainly coming in your way as well.
Not me. Leave me out. I will argue our case.
All right. In that case, how about this, Master Sana? You and I hide inside a rock.
I'll stay invisible.
You stay invisible, and we wish you all the best, Jean Mallarmé, in your future endeavors, negotiating with the enraged Vistani mob. Is that all right? Is that the plan? Is that the plan?
It is the plan, and you know what? I will die upon this hill.
Why? Why? To defend McCragg's panty snooping proclivity?
So
that's your cause,
Lord Talfryn.
No.
They've half the distance again. You cast the rock. What are you hiding within it?
Oh man!
So I pull Master Sana down into a crouch. I cast a rock. I find a out of the way spot. I cast a rock over us with what looks to be a marshy, bracken-filled ditch around it.
Master Sana, are you happy enough? You're crouching down. Kellin, what are you doing?
I'm just standing still and being invisible.
Okay, and this wave of Vistani there within, you can tell that they're just within being able to see you. Jean, what are you doing?
I squat upon the ground and, in cross-legged form, cast a minor illusion of a small blue fire before me, as if to call for parley.
Okay. And as fate would have it, this seems to be the group that has this woman, Cariza, in it. And as she sees you, she points her dagger at you, and the two Vistani men who are close by, she points at him and she says, There is one of them now. Grab him. I will kill him myself. And we'll end the session there tonight. But I will say, though, for making our way through the trials of the town of Vallaki and for almost surviving an assault on the Vistani campsite, we have all managed to achieve level 5.
Yay! What do I get? Do I get a cookie or something? I need something.
I don't know how much time we need to spend on your leveling up, Sean.
Good night.
We could maybe re-roll is maybe what we need to do.
I think I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die.
Just saying that out loud.
Crit Faced is a weekly Dungeons & Dragons podcast. To make sure you never miss an episode, and to get an exclusive prequel episode of the podcast, where you can find out what our characters were up to before this adventure began, head over to critfacedpodcasts.com and join our Crit Faced fan group.